you have people that consider themselves anti-establishment that support pro-Israeli politicians. And I'm sorry to bring up old debates, but I remember I had a debate with Jackson Hinkle. And a lot of MAGA communists to this day still don't like me because I made my disagreements with that strategy known. Their message was that the MAGA constituents has the highest revolutionary potential, which is absurd at face value. But the MAGA movement, which they was selling as this potentially revolutionary movement, was completely cucked to Zionists in Israel. All the big Trump people, Candace Owens is the only example, is like the only person who's been speaking out against this. People are like, oh, what about Candace Owens? She's the only one. She's the only one. All the other big MAGAites are now pro-Israel, unapologetically. Even if people like Tucker Carlson says mild criticisms over Israel, he's doing a State of the Union live stream fact check with Donald Trump, so he's a Trump supporter. So all the MAGA people support a guy who is an unhinged Zionist because they are cut by AIPAC. Because this is what I'm talking about. I have mentioned this a lot, so I'm gonna show you guys this video because someone finally asked Trump about Gaza. Because MAGA, who've been trying to paint this image of Trump of being anti-war, they've been purposely trying to avoid this topic because they know this exposes them. This is why I was telling MAGA communists it's absurd to pretend these people who are cuts to Israel, which is the majority of the Make Israel Great Again movement, are, to pretend that they're fucking revolutionaries. And I'm glad to see our good friends, like Glenn Greenwald, who was friends with a lot of these people on the right. A lot of his coverage has been extremely critical of these people because he's been calling out the right who've been blatant hypocrites about America first. And no, there was actually Israel first the entire time. So here's Donald Trump when asked on this Fox interview.
About your policies for a second. As you know, this president of the United States, when it comes to Israel, is getting protested. Now he seems to be turning on Israel. But the non-committed vote that Biden's getting, they're not going to like you either because you are firmly in Israel's camp, correct? Are you on board with the way the IDF is taking the fight in Gaza?
You've got to finish the problem. You had a horrible invasion. It took place. It would have never happened if I was president, by the way. As you know, Iran was broke, Brian. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas, for Hezbollah. They were broke. This would have never happened. And for another reason, they wouldn't have done it to me. I guarantee you that. They did this because they have no respect for Biden. And frankly, they got soft. And what happened here is incredible. That should never have happened. Likewise.
About your policies for a second. As you know, this president.
You gotta see, if you are against genocide, you are post-duopolis. The people who I cannot take seriously, even when I largely agree with them, are the people who keep pretending that Trump is like this anti-establishment figure when he's supported by one half of the establishment. Makes no sense. And the person I want to call out, and this is me punching up because he's a giant figure, is like Russell Brand. Like I like Russell Brand because his Ukraine coverage. I had to stop watching this motherfucker because his fucking crazy Trump coverage. His insinuation that Trump is some agent fighting against the machine. And you guys notice that Russell Brand hasn't been covering Gaza. He's busy calling out the conspiracy of the globalists because he's afraid to call them out as what they really are, capitalists. And all these people who've been doing this grip, pretending that MAGA is like this anti-establishment thing, they're not going to call this out. They're going to completely ignore the fact that Trump is 100% supporting the policies of Joe Biden, 100% supporting the policies of Chuck Schumer. He has the foreign policy of Nancy Pelosi. He was just talking about how he stole Iran's oil, stole Iran's money. That's the same thing that Biden is doing. Biden stole like a fucking pirate Iranian oil. And I covered that in my hotspot video. Now you guys see why I love doing hotspot now? It keeps me sharp, man. I'm covering stuff that no one else is covering, my friends. So as a MAGA right pretend that Trump is uniquely tough on Iran, which once again, also contradicts the idea that he's anti-war and anti-empire, right? He killed Soleimani, which is a pro-war act. As they're pretending and having this contradiction, Biden's doing the same thing. It's the same foreign policy between both of them, which is why you see the culture war elevated above all else. That's why all of a sudden, people who live nowhere near trans people found the trans issue to be the most important issue in politics to them. Because you have to talk about that. Because if you talk about the actual issues, you know that there's no fucking there's no difference between these parties. Now this is probably the image of the year, my friends. This one right here. Coat Pink and a lot of these protesters have been completely exposing these politicians as the cowards they are. I'll post this on YouTube and on Twitter. This image. Look, bro. This fucking tweet I sent got 20,000 likes, bro. Almost 500,000 views. Because I said this picture probably sums up our current politics more than any other. Now look at this photo here. We had the activists who are, the people who are actually serious about politics, that know what's going on, who understand the role between civilian and government on how we hold government accountable, versus these old white suburban peepaws, grandpas, retired capitalists, these boomers that I told you guys about, that betrayed the future generations in a way that we have never seen before. Not talking about the boomers that have seen through the propaganda, I said I respect. But this picture right here represents their generation more than any other. It represents the genocidal psychosis of this country in the West more than any other. These peepaws went to this political event like, we want to see Senator Christian Gillibrand. We watch More Than Joe every day. We watch CNN. This shit is fun. This shit is a team sport, my friends. So they show up to political events the same way that people show up to prep rallies. They treat politics like a team sport. And this is the guy that I watched this video on Tuesday. You guys remember Peepaw here? Shaking with rage?
30,000 people were sending billions of our taxpayers dollars to kill children. 30,000 people have been murdered.
You guys saw me cover this with my friend Andrew on Tuesday. And that was honestly, like, I had my camera off when I covered this. That was honestly probably the hardest I laughed on stream in a very, very long time. At least a year or two. I was literally crying. That's why I kept my camera off when I saw this part of the video, because I didn't see this part. I saw the whole, there's a long compilation of these protesters, and I saw this part. I was laughing so fucking hard, I had to keep my camera off because I was fucking crying, bro. This is the reality of the genocidal psychosis that swept over a large percentage of white America. Because if you look at the people who oppose Zionism, it's black and brown people. And now we are, and I want to say majority because I had to change my narrative. You know, I was doing factual. I was calling out white America a lot when that number was like 80%. Now you're seeing evangelical Christians turn against the white evangelicals, and I acknowledge reality. And they seen what happened, they shifted, which is good. But you have then you have these motherfuckers who see politics as a team sport, who don't want to hear the truth. Actually, I want to watch it again.
We're sending billions of our taxpayers dollars to kill children and women. 30,000 people have been murdered. We're sending.
I can't even begin to tell you guys how many times I watched that video. And I am extremely glad. Big shout out to Karaoke Computer, a mutual of mine, who clipped this. This clip went fucking mega viral, fam. We covered this shit before a lot of people found it on Tuesday. And I am so glad that out of all the clips we covered, this clip of people going crazy as Victims of capitalism. You guys know this guy's base as hell. Victims of capitalism. That's what he said. I'm not trying to take his idea. P-Paul is shaking with rage. That's such a great fucking comment. That's such a great caption, my friend. P-Paul is shaking with rage over being forced to hear about an ongoing genocide. So I'm glad that went viral, and I'm glad to share with you guys that we have more footage of this guy. We got more footage of this guy. I really wish I had this on Tuesday. We got more from this guy. Listen to this. Oh, let me big screen it. Come on.
Palestinian children need to be killed. How many? I have a question. You sit down. How many Palestinian children need to be killed?
This motherfucker is about to have a heart attack because people are speaking out against power, my friends. And I'm deeply sorry to cover this more than once, but this is new footage. You guys can see how deeply fucking unhinged these liberal boomers are. Like, this guy probably used to be a hippie. I can see it. Do you guys know why we do propaganda report? People are like, why you cover Morning Joe? Why you cover these propaganda channels? Because someone is watching them. A lot more than that watch RBN. These are the people who watch CNN, MSNBC. These are the people who have watched and post subscriptions. These are the people who subscribe to the New York Times. What do you guys think happens when a populace is propagandized to the extent in which we are over a very, very long period of time? This is what happens. You have a populace full of sycophants towards power. I cannot even begin to explain to you guys, and people who follow RBN know this, how completely unimpressed I am with this country and its populace. The amount of brainwashed motherfuckers going around protecting power. That's not by accident. They're this way because of the propaganda, which is why it's so important for us to show and expose how crazy they are. Let's watch this meltdown one more time.
How many Palestinian children need to be killed? How many? I have a question. You sit down. How many Palestinian children need to be killed?
Bro, everyone in the world feels bad, kind of, for this white lady here. But remember, fam, no one benefits more from white supremacy than a white woman. She chose him. But that look that she has represents the look that we all have towards these motherfuckers. And I'm beyond done holding back how I feel about this country. I'm not. Like, if you want a channel that make you feel great about this country, that make you feel great about race relations, there's not a channel for you. We're not here for that toxic positivity. This country is deeply mentally diseased, which is why they provide people with a ton of pills. They give a ton of people antidepressants and pills and tell them that their brain is broken instead of that there's something wrong with this society. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I'm sorry I can't read all your guys' comments. I see some of them sometime. Grandma Mary, that psychopath, she has to sleep in that bed. Yep. I don't feel bad for her. Remember, the biggest benefactor of white supremacy is white women. They benefit from it more than ever. I covered before, I actually wrote about it, I think in my third op-ed. A lot of people forget, like, after Jim Crow ended, white people who wanted to maintain the system then moved into law enforcement in order to maintain a legal system of Jim Crow, which is why they stole our wealth using civil asset forfeiture and other legal means. You guys want to know what white women did? You guys think they stood? You think they stood on the sidelines? No. The white men became cops and soldiers. The white women became teachers and nurses. They became racist teachers and nurses that created an unequal system for us in education and healthcare. I got to spare you guys a rant here because I covered this before. But the inequalities in healthcare, the inequalities in education is directly because of this. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the genocidal psychosis. This is a Republican congressperson, I think it's from Tennessee, who endorses the genocide of Palestinian people. I seen a comment somewhere. I don't remember where it was directed to. Well, it was like, why don't people protest the Republicans? I seen a few, like a lot of people. It was after AOC was called out. A lot of people was like, why are you guys calling out AOC? Why not you calling out the Republicans? Well, it's a bad faith thing to say because they are. Secondly, because we don't expect anything from Republicans. We don't call out the people who claim to represent us and our ideals. But with that said, I do think you should call out anyone who represent your area. If you live in a red state, you should call out the Republicans. If you got a genocidal representative, you should call out the Republicans. Now, I focus on Democrats because I live in a largely black congressional caucus area. My congressman is Emmanuel Cleaver, a black Zionist who's against Medicare for all. He's a black capitalist. And now you guys wonder why I got this pent-up anger towards the black capitalist class? Because those are the people who represent me and my people. Black mayors, black Democrats, black capitalists are the people who represent me and my people. That's why I generally have more feelings towards them. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene don't represent me. Emmanuel Cleaver does. Eric Adams represent our people. You know what I mean? I'm blanking on the name of that Atlantic mayor. Fuck. I'm sorry, but that black mayor in Atlanta who's building Cop City, they represent us. So why should I spend my time focused on Marjorie Taylor Greene and Republicans when we are represented by Democrats? That don't make sense. But once again, RBN, one of the few people who actually take politics seriously. Now to my point, if you live in like actually Chuck Felshman, what district is he? Chuck? Fuck, that's a weird ass name. They said we got ghetto names. That's a ghetto ass name. Fleshman? Oh no, I can't even begin to say that. I'm trying to see what district you represent. Tennessee. So if you're in Tennessee, I think you definitely should be doing this. Cause look at what this motherfucker says.
Palestinians, I will never support them.
Why do you support the genocide and all of the war crimes and collective punishment? Are you concerned about all the children?
Let me make
dying
it
in
clear.
Gaza?
Let me make it clear. Israel is our ally, will always be our ally.
Even if they commit war
And they are
crimes,
not
even
guilty
with-
of genocide, and I
Why?
will support Israel forever.
You will
So Israel will stay your ally even though they commit
Israel will be
genocide.
my
Even
That's
with
your term.
even
Can
when
you
they kill
That is
explain-
your
even when
term.
they kill 30,000
What
kids.
they
That is a
did to the
statistic.
Israeli
That's a
people
statistic.
on October. Let me tell you a statistic.
Yeah, please.
Israel will exist. The Jewish state will exist.
That's not a
It will always
statistic.
exist.
That's not what we're.
And that is for
That
God
has absolutely
to do
nothing
and
to do with what we're
decide.
saying.
And I will
You are a
always support
supporter of
Israel.
genocide, sir. You're
I will
supporting
always
the
support
murder of
Israel,
little children.
and you can tell the Palestinians I will
I
never
am a
support them.
Palestinian myself.
And I will tell you, I will never support you.
Yeah?
I will tell you to your
And
face.
you want my you want my cousins
Goodbye
to
to
die.
Palestine. Goodbye
I
will
to
support
Goodbye to
Israel.
Palestine.
Goodbye
You
to
want to watch
Palestine.
Palestine?
We will support Israel forever.
So
No.
you are
I
comfortable
will
So
always
with
just
support Israel.
FYI, this guy just said goodbye
Always
to
support
Palestine.
Yes.
Israel.
you.
Okay.
So you just said goodbye to Palestine. So you are
Goodbye.
saying you are comfortable with the murder of thousands of children.
The Jewish people will never
You are
suffer
not
again
answering the
under
question.
Palestinian terrorism, under Hamas, under Hezbollah.
What about
Israel will be secure
30,000
forever.
innocent
Okay.
God bless
civilians?
Israel
So,
forever.
Thank
So
you
why do you want to
for
wipe Palestine off the earth? Yeah.
God
Yes.
bless
Yeah.
Israel forever.
This is a person who claims he represents the Make American Great Again movement. This is the result of millions and millions and millions of dollars, $100 million just this election by AIPAC buying politicians. They care more about the state of Israel than they do Americans. And it's clear, look how angry they get when you call out their masters. And look at it, if the ICJ, and there are a lot of lawyers, there are a lot of, I think South African lawyers was floating the idea of prosecuting the UK and the United States and France for being complicit with genocide. That's a very popular idea that's catching steam and something we may see in the future. If that happens, we have a statement from a United States representative that is 100% pro-genocide. So I had a viral tweet that said this, and I will say it again. White America said with a straight face that you are genocidal if you say to the river to the sea. If you say from the river to the sea, you're genocidal. But if you say bye Palestine, if you say goodbye Palestine, that's not genocidal? Because of capitalist dictatorship, we have these representatives that are openly supporting and expressing the will to commit genocide. You guys see in the clip, he said, that's your term, not mine. No, it's a term that majority of the world population will apply to Israel, including recognized by the International Court of Justice. And then he said, well, I don't think there's a genocide. And then he proceeds to endorse a genocide. From the river to the sea, genocidal. Bye-bye Palestinian, not genocidal. You guys know that they censured Rashid Tlaib for saying from the river to the sea? But we have all these Republicans that are essentially saying that, yeah, fuck all the Palestinians, they deserve to die. No censure at all. Which is why no one should respect the institution of the United States Congress. This is why no one should be a fucking duopolist. Because this guy is MAGA. He's a Trump endorsee. You guys seen Trump? He's a cuck on Israel. MAGA is a cuck to Israel. All these guys will fight for Israel way harder than they will ever fight for you. Trump's Gaza comments highlight tough choice for peace-supporting U.S. voters. What tough choice? You guys see how the corporate media covers this shit? And now I see a lot of liberals that say, oh, see, you guys think that it's actually worth the damn to vote against Biden. Trump believes in genocide just as much. Well, Trump is accurately expressing what Biden is doing. So Lee Trump is being honest. And if Trump was in office, we probably could have had enough pressure to prevent the genocide because none of the Democrats would have sided with Donald Trump in the middle of a genocide. All these liberals who would never criticize Democrats, they would have been criticizing Trump they would be in the streets with us. All these Zionist Democrats would turn on Israel real quick just because of Trump. But because of Biden, they had to excuse it. They had to lie to the populace. And they pretend it's a tough choice. Former president's rhetoric shows voters seeking to punish Joe Biden for backing Israel face dilemma in the upcoming election. And fam, I am asking you guys, what dilemma do we face? Because to me, the objective is quite clear. I am voting for the anti-genocide candidate. I will support the anti-genocide candidate. You support a third party. If there is no anti-genocide candidate in a duopoly, which there will never be,